Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For our presentation task, our group will present about Malaysian Halal Law 1. So before that, let us introduce ourselves. So my name is NAZUA LYANA binti ZARPAWI from IC1205A2 and my other group members are.
Hello, my name is NOOR HAFIDA binti ABDUL from IC1205A2.
Hi, my name is SYAZWINA binti AMRI. I am from IC1205A2.
My name is FARHANA binti ZULKIFLI from IC12058.
My name is FARAH binti Muhammad BADRUDDin and I'm from IC12058. Okay, now our group want to present about the Malaysian Halal Law. Okay, now let's start it with introduction.
Enactment or ordinance of state Sharia criminal, the state of Malaysia have promulgated the Islamic criminal offences Act to regulate the types of crimes and rate of punishment relating to Muslims within the scope of the federal constitutions and the Islamic Courts Criminal Jurisdiction Act 1984 as amended in 1965. Its implementation involves law enforcement and the prosecution of the religions department of the Islamic State religion by the Islamic prosecutor of the Islamic court. Most states provide for halal-related offences. In various offences regarding the misuse of halal marks, that is displaying illegal halal mark or displaying halal marks on food or beverage that are actually not halal or haram. Types of halal-related offences based on the law, only 8 states have provision for such offences, namely Penang, Federal Territory, Selangor, Johor, Pahang, Terengganu, Sabah and Sarawak, while other states, namely Perlis, Kedah, Perak, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Kelantan have not yet provided for halal-related offences in the Sharia criminal offences law in their respective state until now. Most of the states provide for only one offences related to halal, which is the act of Muslim who divide or abuse the halal mark, which is to display the halal mark on food or beverage that are not halal or haram in business premise. For example, in section 42 of the Sharia Criminal Offences Federal Territory Act 1997 provides any person who display on or in respect of any food or drink which is not halal any sign indicating that the food or drink is halal is guilty of an offence and on conviction should be liable to a fine not exceeding 5,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for period not exceeding 3 years or both. However, the state of Sabah is seen to be more in the forefront in allocating halal-related offences. The provision of the offences are more detailed and varied. The law in Sabah provides for 3 halal-related offences, namely act related to prohibited food, slaughter of animals that do not follow Islamic law, and the misuse of the halal mark. Section 59, Sharia Criminal Offences Enactment 1995 provide for offences related to prohibited food, namely, first, whoever consumes any kind of food which is forbidden by Islam should be guilty of an offences. Second, any person who sells or prepare or distribute any kind of food or meat that is haram or not halal according to the religion of Islam should be guilty of an offences. Third, anyone who display a halal mark on food or drink that is haram or not halal is guilty of an offences. And lastly, any person who commit anything which constitute an offences under subsection 1 or 2 or 3 shall or conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 500 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or both. Apart from that, the same enactment in the state of Sabah also provides for offences related to the slaughter of animals that are not in accordance with the requirements of Islamic law, namely in section 59, subsection 5 and C below, which are anyone who violates Islamic law slaughter any kind of animal permitted by Islamic law is guilty of an offences and shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or to both. And anyone who slaughters any halal animal for the purpose of sale without obtaining permission for a written certificate from the council is guilty of an offence and shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or to both ons. Penalty rate. The state jurisdiction in determining the rate of punishment in Sharia criminal offence law is subject to the Sharia Court's Criminal Jurisdiction Act 1965 Amendment 1984. The rate of punishment prescribed is a fine of up to 5,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 3 years or whipping up to 6 times or any combination of the two of this punishment. In general, all states that have provision for offences related to the issue of halal marks provide for a fine not exceeding 5,000 ringgit or imprisonment not exceeding 3 years except in Selangor, imprisonment not exceeding 1 year, and a fine not exceeding 2,000 ringgit. While in Sabah, the punishment is lighter, namely fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit or imprisonment not exceeding 6 months. Only the state of Pahang provide for whipping or such offences based on the provision in section 51 Pahang Sharia Offence Enactment 2013.
Okay, so next we will continue with the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999. Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999 are included in the ordinance in Malaysia. Ordinance is to integrate the laws on animal health and welfare in order to promote the veterinary public health that according to the law. However, the appointment of state veterinary authority need to be made by Majlis Mesyuarat Kerajaan Negeri so that the authority are able to perform and carry out their duties assigned under the Veterinary Public Health Ordinance 1999. There are few positions of veterinary authority that has been appointed by the minister, such as veterinary officers, assistant veterinary officers, veterinary assistant, and etc. Those positions are responsible to control, direction, supervision of the state veterinary authority. This appointment is to ensure the state veterinary authority are performing their duties according to the ordinance. There are few duties of the authorities need to be performed, which is they must control and regulate the activities of import and export of animals and fish. The duties is to ensure there is no diseases in the animal or any animal products that can spreading around the world. Furthermore, they need to ensure the way of the examination and certification of meat from the animals are safe and suitable for the consumer to consume. Other than that, the authority are responsible to develop plans on how to prevent the animal disease from spreading. This prevention is to identify whether the animal, fish, or animal and fish products are getting infected by any disease. The state veterinary authority should make an examination test on the animal or animal products by taking their urine, blood, or any substances that can prove the animal are infected by the disease. If the state of veterinary authority found there is offense that related to the animal disease, they will get a penalty. If a person are found guilty, they may be fined not exceeding 500 ringgit. Okay, next we will move to the Animal Act 1953. Animal Act 1953 is an act to amend and consolidate the laws for preventing the introduction into the spreading within Peninsular Malaysia of diseases of animals. Besides, this act is to control the movement of animals into, within, and from Malaysia. Is it also to control the slaughter of animals? Other than that, the authorities are responsible to ensuring this act will preventing the cruelty to animals like birds, fish, and reptile, whether is it tame or wild. However, the most common offense is cruelty to animals because of the weak enforcement. There are few offences of cruelty to animals that often happens, which is cruelly beats, kids, tortures, or scare any animal, whether is it tame or wild animals. For those who find guilty by committing the crime, they will be fined of 200 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term of 6 months or both.
So now let's talk about Custom Act 1967, Prohibition of Imports 1998. Custom Act 1967 is a Malaysian law related to customs and enacted by Parliament of Malaysia in 1967 and was revised in 1980. This act is used throughout Malaysia. This act consists of 21 parts, which contains 169 sections and one schedule that includes 24 amendments. Prohibition of Imports 1998 is a part of Custom Act 1967. It is the fourth part of the Act, which is Importation and Exploitation. Every product or good should follow this Act, either it is an import product or export product from another countries. The importation or exportation products or good should include times and place of the landing products. Now I will explain about importation. Firstly, products or goods that is using sea shipment or transported by water should landed at legal place, which is at Wharf, Sabah and Sarawak. The products or goods should receive a permission from the officer of custom to let the product or goods landed in Malaysia. If it has a different date and time, the products or good can land it if it has been granted from the officer of custom. Also, the products or goods should land it using a different boat or craft when arrive in Malaysia. Second, this act is applied to product or goods that is landed or imported by air. The products or goods should not land it at any place in Malaysia except at the airport, at inland clearance depot and an inland customs station. It is because the product or goods should be checked first by the customs when it landed in Malaysia. Next, this act also applied to products or goods that is imported by road or rail. First, the route should be prescribed first. For example, which road they use to land the product, and if the products or good has a different time or date, it will be accepted if it has if the permission granted by the officer of the customs. Last but not least, the prohibition is the power of minister. The minister may make a prohibition for imported goods in Malaysia from other countries or exported products from Malaysia to another country. Any question that is arise regarding to importation and exportation, it will be decided by the Director General. It is because the Director General has a power on require security.
Okay, now we go to the Malaysian Trade Enactment. A trademark is a registered mark or name, and it is distinguishes one good or service from another. This means that an item has been registered with a trademark by the owner, cannot used by others. In addition, a person will be prosecuted if they plagiate an item that has been registered as a reserved copyright. Okay, important trademark laws of Malaysia include Trademark Enactment 1976, Trademark Regulation 1997, Trade Description Enactment 2011, and Intellectual Property Corporation of Malaysia Enactment 2002. Okay, the party responsible for the registration and protection in Malaysia is MyIPO.
Okay, now I will explain about Trade Description Act 1972. In Malaysia, TDA 1972 is the main legislation in regulating halal food products, and it has existed since 1972. There are two regulations under it, which is Trade Description Use of Halal Expression Order 1975 and Trade Description Order Food Marking 1975. The Act has been enforced by the Ministry of Domestic Trade, Cooperative and Consumerism (MDTCC). In it, it has stated the definition of halal food preparation, halal according to Sharia law, the offence of falsification of raw materials, and halal documentation. The goals of TDA 1972 are to protect consumers from consuming foods that confuse the quality and content of food in its information. For example, the information on the packaging differs from the actual materials used during production. Among the reasons why TDA 1972 is less effective in controlling halal issues is based on the requirements under the Trade Description Use of Halal Expression Order 1975 states that before taking any action, clear evidence of the existence of illegal mixtures in food must be shown. But if the wine is only in the store or in the kitchen and is not mixed during food processing, it becomes a burden to prove because it is difficult to investigate. Malaysia still has the problem of halal logo fraud and also fake halal certificates, even though it is known as a halal product. This is because the jurisdiction of the Halal Division is only held by MDTCC, while JAKIM and MAIN have no power to impose any action on sellers who violate halal rules. Due to the weaknesses of TDA 1972, they reenacted the Trade Description Act 2011. Its purposes are to reform the trade description law and replace the TDA 1972, to promote good trade by prohibiting the practice of conflicting in trade descriptions, false and misleading statements, conduct in the supply of goods, protect the interests of consumers, and to provide uniformity in the issuance of halal certificates. For the issuance of halal certificate has been authorized to JAKIM and the State Islamic Religious Council, respectively effective January 1st, 2011. So other companies do not have the authority to make halal certificate as before. There are two important elements in the new Act, which is the Trade Description Definition of Halal Order 2011 and the Trade Description Halal Certification and Marking Order 2011. So let's go through one by one. First is Trade Description Definition of Halal Order 2011. The definition of halal is given a broad meaning by MDTCC under Section 3(1) of the Trade Description Definition of Halal Order 2011. It states, when food or goods are deemed halal or described in any other expression to indicate that the food or goods are edible or used by Muslim, the expression means that the food or goods conform to those criteria. So first, does not contain parts of animals that are prohibited or that are not slaughtered according to Islamic law. Second, does not contain feces. Third, not intoxicating. Fourth, does not contain human parts. Fifth, not toxic or harmful to health. Sixth, do not use tools contaminated with feces. 7, throughout the operation, never engage with any food that fails to meet number 1 and 2. Okay, number 2, Trade Description Halal Certification and Marking Order 2011. Article 4 of the Trade Description Halal Certification and Marking Order 2011 states that only JAKIM and MAIN in their respective states are appointed as the competent authority to certify that any food, goods or services in relation to food or goods are halal according to the trade description or the definition of halal 2011. It cannot be considered halal unless it's certified halal by the competent authority like JAKIM or MAIN. And second, marked with a special logo issued by the competent authority like JAKIM and MAIN.
Okay, the Trademark Enactment 1976 has been used and replaced the Trademark Ordinance 1950, and it is under the Trademark Regulation 1997 and is applied by the whole of Malaysia. MyIPO operates under the Malaysian Intellectual Property Corporation Enactment 2002. MyIPO's headquarters are in Kuala Lumpur and regional office are in Sabah, Sarawak, Johor Bahru, Kuantan, Penang and Melaka. Okay, next we go to the several section that under the Trademark Enactment 1976. Okay, section 14, 15 and 19 is for rejection a trademark application. Okay, it is used contrary to law, misleading or causing confusion, containing offensive matter, and it is prohibited to be protected by the court against interest and security of nation, similar to a well-known mark, similar to a mark that has been registered and contain confusing things and about its origin. Okay, next we go to the section 16. Okay, this section made for the registration of another person's name. Consent is required by that person if he or she is still alive or his or her representative give permission for trademark registration. The registrar or the court may require the owner to deny certain exclusive right granted to him if the trademark is registered but is not distinctive and familiar to trade and business. Okay, in section 29, the registrar is required to cancel his registration if the proposed trademark use does not start his business within 6 months and if the application does not meet the trademark registration requirement. The registrar is prescribed to leave his application within 12 months after complying with the right of notice unless there is a matter pending in court or not more than 3 months after the court decision. The protection period of a registered trademark in Malaysia is 10 years under section 32 of the Trademark Enactment 1976 and it can be renewed for another 10 years after the expiry of the period under section 41. The registrar may send a notice to the designated trademark owner prior to the expiration of the coverage period consisting of an expiration date and extended conditions. Trademark renewal can be granted for another 10 years if the owner applies in the prescribed manner within the prescribed time and meets the prescribed condition.